So that's the background of what inspired this topic. So send me, oh Lord. Hello, beautiful shining souls. My name is Jostine, intuitive life guide from the Philippines. Welcome back to my channel. So, for today, our topic for Teaching Thursday is shadows. All right. So, before we dive into the topic, just a little background. So, what inspired this topic for today? I was invited as a guest on my friend's FB Live show, Live Life to the Fullest, and I'll be linking the replay in the description if you're feeling called to watch it later after this video. So, during that interview, I was asked, because I was sharing about self-love and how it is key to our journey back to wholeness. So, for me, self-love is really a journey towards reclaiming our whole selves and loving all parts of ourselves, the good, the bad, the light, the dark, the beautiful, the ugly, and everything in between. And really loving ourselves, especially when we are in our darkness. And so I mentioned about, loving our shadows. And my friend, she asked me, okay, so you mentioned about shadows. Can you tell us more about it? The show is about like 30 minutes. And I was looking at the time and I was like conscious, like, oh, we're nearing the 30-minute mark. And so I was like coming from my head, trying to answer in a concise way. And you know me, I tend to ramble and like whenever I explain things, like I go around the world before making my point. Especially when I'm coming from my head. And I forgot to pause and breathe before answering. And so, like, the explanation that I gave, I feel it didn't really land well. So past Justine would really think about, going back to the interview and ruminating and thinking about like how she could have answered it better. But first, I'm happy to share that that did not happen. After the interview, I felt at peace, I felt complete. I feel like the message that was wanting to be shared at the time was delivered. So yay! I did not fall into that trap of overthinking and getting lost in thinking about what should have been, what could have been, which is a very dangerous trap to be in. So it was a very fast process, which means that I'm growing, yay. And second, it gave me this inspiration to talk about Teaching Thursday, and so here we are. So that's the background of what inspired this topic. And so with that, let's continue on. So what is a shadow? All right, so I already mentioned about loving ourselves, especially in our darkness, loving the good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful, the light, and the darkness. So in the simplest terms, in the simplest explanation, shadows are those aspects of ourselves that we don't really like. Aspects of ourselves that we have rejected, we have denied, we have hidden from the world and put in the shadows. And I don't know like what percentage, but most likely these shadows are not familiar to us, we are not as aware with these parts of ourselves, because chances are these aspects of ourselves we're put in the shadows during our childhood years because we received a message from our parents, from our society, from our community, or whoever, that those qualities are not acceptable, that those qualities are bad, that those qualities will not give you the attention and love that you are seeking as a child. And so our mind, right, the children in us formed this belief that these parts of myself will not be accepted, will not be loved, and so I'm going to hide them from the world. And the danger in not knowing about our shadows is that we tend to project this to other people. And so there are different activities that you can do if you want to familiarize yourself, if you want to gain more awareness of these shadows. And I love, so we call that shadow work, doing shadow work, right? And for me, it's mostly started with journaling. There are different journal prompts that you can do to help you have that awareness of those aspects of yourselves. And then along my personal growth journey, I was exposed to different activities that helped me have more awareness of these parts of myself. Getting to know myself through different personality types, personality assessments really helped as well. So the Enneagram, MBTI, Human Design, those are my top 3 self-assessments that I would encourage you to take a look at and explore, because the descriptions are so on point, at least for me, and it will give you that feeling of, oh, right, I recognize that in myself. And that helps, spark that awareness of what else is hidden in ourselves, right? But the biggest, simplest thing that any one of us can do to recognize these shadows is this. Notice whenever you are getting triggered by someone or by a situation. Because most likely, you are getting triggered not because of the other person and not because of the situation. You are getting triggered because something about that person or something about the situation is reflecting back to you an aspect of yourself that you are not aware of, or maybe that you are aware of but you haven't fully accepted it about yourself and you haven't fully integrated it. So that is my invitation for you this week. Catch yourself whenever you are being triggered, and then be curious and ask yourself, where is this reaction coming from? What about this person? Or what about this situation is causing this reaction out of me? what are they reflecting back to me? And what can I learn about myself from this situation? Promise you that will be a gold mine of discovery. So, I guess to make this concrete, I want to give an example for you of how I have experienced this for myself. So there was this incident before. We have food delivered at our place, and when the food was delivered, we of course know how much the food cost. But then the kid, the teenager, I don't know how old he is, I'd say teenager, asked for a delivery fee. And the amount is not that big, but I know that the person that we're in contact with, that we're messaging with, did not mention any delivery fee. As an Enneagram 9, I am not very good with conflicts. Like, I try to stay away from conflicts, and so that led me to just, what, it's just a small amount, I'll give the money to him. No biggie, no issue. At least that's what I think. I'm not really sure what happened that day. Like, I cannot really remember exactly what happened, but I just know that after that incident, I cannot let it go. And usually I can just, brush it aside. But, well, I guess at that time, because I was doing the 21-day Reiki cleansing, so maybe that's why. Yeah, I think that's part of it, because I was doing the releasing of what needs to be released and all that. And so I think the situation triggered that reaction out of me, because that aspect of myself is ready to be revealed and acknowledged and integrated. So that's actually another clue. If whenever you are getting triggered, it's actually an invitation from your hidden self that they are ready to be revealed, to be acknowledged by you, and to be integrated. Okay, so shadows are not meant to be rejected and denied, because again, we're going back to the journey of our whole selves, and that includes integrating those parts of ourselves that we do not really like. Anyway, going back to the story. So after that, from that simple situation, my journey, contemplation, reflection led me to this realization that by not speaking up and standing for what I know is true, or even just getting curious and asking, is there really a delivery fee? And just advocating for that simple thing, somehow I could be complicit to other people doing bad things. Like, who knows? This could be just as simple asking for something, a small amount. But if no one is going to check with that person, I'm not saying that it will happen, but it could, right? It is a possibility. Who knows what will happen in the future, right? It could escalate to something bad, right? To something more malicious. Or it could not. I don't know. Again, I'm just sending prayer and love to that person. But the point is, me staying quiet, avoiding conflict. And this is not the only time that I did this. There has been multiple instances because I don't like conflict. I just stayed quiet and observed and allow things to unfold, whatever the situation may be. And who knows how many instances I have been complicit to people doing bad things, the situation getting worse just because I stayed quiet. You know what I mean? And that is an aspect of myself that I didn't really fully realize. That by avoiding conflict, it goes much deeper than that. And it triggered within me this shame, this guilt, because I know, logically I know, even in the social reformation, of course I want to, for things to be better in our society. But it has always been a question of how active am I in really making a change. I'm working on myself because I know that we all have different roles to play, and it's getting me sometime. It's been a journey of really fully accepting that where I am right now, what I'm doing is enough for now. Like, this is the place where I'm being called to serve, and there are people who are called to serve in a more active way, in a more going out to the streets or sharing about their opinion and all that. We all have a role to play, and I need to accept my role without comparing myself to other people. That's another topic altogether. I don't know why I shared that, but just feeling called to share that. But yeah, the point here is that by avoiding conflict, by staying quiet, like, that is an aspect of myself that I have rejected somehow, because I have the story. First of all, that part of it is I was the good kid growing up, and it was, there's a message that if you do not speak up or talk back to your elders, that is a good thing. And so if you are more assertive, you're talking back, or advocating for your needs, you will be labeled as the black sheep of the family. And that could be true or not, but that is a messaging that I received growing up, right? So that's part of it. And then next is again, going back to my innate personality, as a byproduct of me avoiding conflict, there is this aspect of myself that has stayed quiet and just being observant and not really doing anything. And there is a part of me that felt shame around that. And so the more that I hide, but the thing is, the more that I hide that part of myself, the more that I don't face it, the more it affects my conscious reality, the more that I project and all that. And so having that awareness that, okay, there is this aspect of myself, then there's something that I can do, right? Because every time that I find myself staying quiet and not really advocating for myself and my needs, I may or may not do something different, but at least I have that awareness and I can catch myself and I can have that moment to choose. Do I continue doing the same thing, or do I take a baby step and do something different to speak up a little, right? Or maybe I can do a total 180 and, you know, be assertive and stand my ground and take space and speak up. Who knows? But at least I have that awareness. I know what's hidden, and that is part of the shadow work, right? And that is how we are able to learn to accept these parts of ourselves and eventually love those parts of ourselves, being kind and understanding that, you know, there is this aspect of ourselves that just needs to be understood, you know, need to be accepted, that that is the way they are, and we can work something out so that we can integrate them and we can be proud of who we are as we are. So I hope that that has been helpful. I know that the explanation is could still use some tweaking, but I hope that it landed for you. I invite you to, like, if you're feeling called to do more shadow work, you know, there are lots of resources. If you need more help with that, I can also be a guide for you if you're feeling called to have me as a guide. I'm opening space for working one-on-one with individuals again, and my contact details are in the description box, so you can just send me an email if you need more help around that. And lastly, I invite you to get a copy of our book, Self-Love Elevated. Lots of powerful stories from powerful women across the globe about their self-love journey. And again, this includes my my chapter, which is Free from Darkness at Last. Yay! So more about shadows in here. So yeah, so that's about it. Thank you so much. I hope that this has been valuable for you. If it is, please feel free to let me know in the comments or just leave a thumbs up. And if you think that someone would benefit from watching or listening to this video, please feel free to share. I really hope that, you know, this message will reach the people they are intended for, and so I will need your help for that. So thank you so much in advance. I'll see you on Saturday for Saturday showcase, and yeah, that's about it. Thank you so much. Peace, love, and light.